Later this morning, accused United Healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione returns to court for the fourth day of his pretrial hearing.
Chanley Painter joins us live outside the New York State Supreme Court with the latest. Chanley.
Hey, Carly and Todd, that's right. So we're expecting more testimony to resume inside this courthouse behind me later this morning. And we're expecting to hear from a couple of officers who responded to a 911 call at that McDonald's in Pennsylvania from customers who recognized the suspected killer of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York just 5 days earlier. Listen to this.
I'm a manager at Plank Road McDonald's out here on the Boulevard.
Okay.
And I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looked like the CEO shooter from New York.
Is this individual still there?
Yes, he's still in the back of our lobby by the bathroom. He's wearing a black sweater jacket with a medical mask and a tan khaki-colored beanie.
That audio is just one of the new pieces of evidence being released by the judge overseeing this week's suppression hearing. It was played for the first time in court earlier this week. The judge also made public some of the exhibit photos showing items recovered from Mangione during his arrest at that McDonald's, including the laptop that was with him and a photo of all the cash that was found on him. It's several $1,000s, mostly in $100 bills, some foreign banknotes from Thailand, India, and Japan. Mangione's defense is asking the judge to bar prosecutors from being able to use items found in his backpack, including the gun and a notebook, because officers didn't have a search warrant, they say. And they also want any statements Mangione made to police before he was given his Miranda rights to be excluded as well. Prosecutors countered that the officers did act within the bounds of the law and that all evidence was lawfully obtained during his arrest at that McDonald's. This hearing could extend into next week with several more witnesses. And of course, as you guys know, it's all happening about 1 year from the murder of Brian Thompson last December.
Chanley Painter live for us downtown Manhattan. Chanley, thank you. With that, let us bring in criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor Donna Rotunno. And Donna, when we spoke with you earlier this week, you said you do not expect the judge to toss out any of this evidence. It is all germane to this investigation, to this trial. Did you hear anything yesterday to change your mind?
Good morning, Todd. No, I did not hear anything to change my mind. To the contrary, everything I heard yesterday just reinforces what I've already believed here. I think there's even less evidence than we thought after looking at the defense motions. So I don't think anything is different than what we talked about. I think the judge is going to let everything in. I think the police acted appropriately, and I think all of the evidence will be able to be used during his trial.
We also want to get your thoughts on this case that has really been talked about by the entire nation. The father of Anna Kepner, who died aboard that Carnival cruise ship, has been ordered to testify today in a custody hearing between the girl's mother and the mother's ex-husband. Now, to be clear, Anna Kepner's father was actually subpoenaed by the ex-husband involved in this hearing. But he doesn't seem to want to testify. So my confusion on this is, look, I'm this girl's father. I lost my daughter. Wouldn't you want to testify in any kind of hearing to have your voice be heard? Or is this a situation where Kepner's dad is saying, look, I'm not involved in this custody battle. I shouldn't be involved. The ex-husband here is only using me as a character witness to basically attack the wife, my former wife, his former wife, the mother of Anna Kepner. I know it's convoluted, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that is the perfect summary of what's going on here. Number one, you have a father who lost his daughter. So that should be his number one priority in terms of the way he's moving forward here. However, this person that's going to court with her ex-husband is his wife, significant other, and I'm sure he feels like he's put in the middle. And how does he make a decision about what he should do? Because you're right, the ex-husband is going to say, you're a bad mother, you didn't take care of our kids, when they were in your care, custody, and control, look what happened. I mean, look what happened. We have a son who's now a suspect in a murder case. You have a stepchild who's dead, and I'm concerned about our other child, which I think is reasonable and probably something most people would would do. It's going to be very interesting to see if Anna's father shows up today. If he doesn't show up, the court will either say he has to be resubpoenaed and personal service actually has to be completed, or the judge will issue a body attachment and he could potentially be arrested on a rule to show cause.
Donna, quickly before we let you go, these folks were on a cruise ship. That is a limited pool of suspects. And also, we have somebody who is a person of interest. Why is it taking so long to arrest someone connected with this killing?
My opinion on that is the fact that they are probably having an issue confirming the intent. They're wondering how they're going to prove intent, because what we know so far is that this 16-year-old says after the fact, I don't know what happened, and he ends up in a mental hospital or a hospital of some sort seeking treatment. So I think that the problem is probably not who did this, but can we prove the requisite intent for murder? Is there an intent to kill? Was this an accident? So I think we're probably, what we're looking at is probably a situation where they're more concerned about what charge rather than who to charge. That's my guess.
Makes a lot of sense. Donna Rotunno, as always, thank you for your insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. Have a good day.
You too.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.